Hey guys, GhazzyTV here with another YouTube video, and I wanted to update you guys on my take on Penance brand, which I have actually been enjoying a lot in playing, and I think it's an amazing ability. It's sort of like a Divine Ire, but with much more mobility. I am using Swift brand for it, and I think that is without a doubt the best way to go about it. I'm not going to talk about the exact details on the mechanics of it. There's a link to the guide in the description below of the Hierophant version I made. So I want to talk about 3 different versions. I'm currently doing this as a Necromancer. I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of that, and also the crit version, which has to be played as an Inquisitor. I was unable to make a successful Trickster or Shadow version out of a crit-based Penance brand. However, there is a possibility that an Assassin could work with it. I do believe, though, that if you go crit with it, you should go Inquisitor. The Archmage approaches can work as Trickster, but would, in my opinion, be better suited for League Starter friendly as an Hierophant. Or if you want to be a masochist like I decided to do for some odd reason, you go Necromancer. So I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of the Hierophant versus the Necromancer here. And just a few notes on how much I actually really enjoy playing Penance brand. So first off, I can tell you that leveling with Penance brand has been absolutely atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. You're much better off with Arcanist brand or something. Wave of Conviction, Ball Lightning Miner, Orb of Storms. You know, the classical stuffs rather than Penance brand. It was terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Since both the Hierophant version in the guide description below. I'm tired. I've been up for over 24 hours recording this. The Necromancer is also going for an Archmage approach, and that was terrible because the tree is designed to be oriented around a lot of mana, and you don't really do damage till you're able to use Archmage, which I decided to implement to the build as I got a 5-link, which is what I'm using right now, with Swift Brand, Conk Effect, Fist of Lightning, and Archmage, as I'm cursing with Orb of Storms, cursing it to Conductivity. And that has worked very well. I'm currently doing yellow tier maps, level 82, progressing the Atlas, been doing some Conquerors. It's been going pretty well. Currently trying to link the Impulse I purchased. Haven't been going so good or successful so far. Either way, the problem with Penance brand is that you want to scale a lot of cast speed with it to stack up as many beams as possible. Crit version has a bit of an easier time with this because you can actually get all your mana into auras to actually get some extra damage out of it, so making it a little bit more solid when it comes to the early game stages. However, the Archmage, once you're able to put the Archmage in a 5-link, you can purchase these. I think I purchased this one for 3 or 4 chaos early in the league. And these are just going to go down in price as hours goes by in the league launch. So you can easily get a 5-link for like nothing. You can play with a tablet if you get a hold of that. I won't switch away from my chess piece until a 6-link by Impulsa, for example. So once you get the Archmage, the damage just skyrockets and becomes very, 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 very nice. And despite that, I wanted to talk about the differences between the Hierophant and the Necromancer. We'll link a POB to the Necromancer in the description below as well, of course. As in Hierophant, you get a lot of extra mana, which gives you more damage through Archmage. Pretty much all the nodes that you decide to go for in the Ascendancy nodes will benefit your build. Whereas the Necromancer, I only really pseudo-benefit from the Essence Glutton because of the extra mana, of course, but also the regenerate per corpse. But as long as I'm not consuming a corpse, I am not actually getting that extra regen. I am not able to utilize Plaguebringer Corpse Pact without actually consuming or generating corpses, and self-casting that is a no-go because you have to cast your brand so often. Now you get a lot of extra mana and regen through the Hierophant, counteracting the massive amount of mana per second you're going to be wasting casting the brand with an Archmage approach. The Necromancer doesn't really get that. The only way to sustain that properly is to actually generate and consume corpses. That's not something you can do until you get a trigger weapon. And this is why this is what I would refer to as the masochistic approach or as a league starter. This is perfectly fine, you know, a couple of days into the league. Most people have available trigger crouch. You can purchase it on the global chat or something, or in a Discord server or a guild or whatever. So right now I'm struggling with not having the consumption of corpses. So I currently only have one Ascendancy node because it's the only thing that really benefits me. I could arguably go for Mistress Sacrifice because it gives me some duration, but I can't be arsed to. because I don't really need it. So yeah, I will just not do the labs till I get a trigger weapon. So hopefully I'll be able to get that within a day or two. However, I must say that I feel that the Necromancer approach, once you get the trigger weapon, will actually be vastly superior than the Hierophant. But I think the Hierophant is so much better for as a League starter because of how hard it is to get a trigger weapon. So, the difference between this and the crit version is obviously that the crit version seems to be a bit more smoother as a League starter compared to the Necromancer, obviously, but the Hierophant version versus the Crit Inquisitor seems to be on par with one another. Because once you get the Archmage going, the damage is really, really smooth. It's clearing everything very fine, and I'm having a blast playing it. So another thing I wanted to mention in this video is actually the interaction of Holy Conquest. Prior to the League's release, there was a lot of discussion about Holy Conquest. My assumption of this was that the brands attached to a new enemy each time they activate, no more than once every 0.3 seconds, would be perfect for the sake of clearing. You're able to be in a position where you create small explosions, and these small explosions would be with decent gear, or even for endgame would be more than enough to clear packs even in tier 16 maps. Especially with the increasement of your clear speed, where you get the trigger rate to get at least 2 to 3 beams or energy before they explode, which is basically the perfect way to do this. However, the discussion about this is how it would interact versus single target, where there would be only one target available, such as Uber Elder or Awakener fights and whatnot. And we have been able to confirm through testing that Holy Conquest does not actually detach your brand on single targets. So as long as there's only one target available for your brand to be hitting, your brand will be stuck on that target because there is no new target for it to move on. And the other part of that argument would be if you're doing maps with multiple bosses, like race course or double bosses and whatnot, you're then in a situation where you will have brands that will detach. However, you're casting 4 up to 5 brands available. 2 of them can attach to each target. That means that if you're casting out 5 brands and there's 2 bosses, you're going to have 2 targets with 2 brands attached to each, generating beams between each other, and then they'll detach and basically switch places with one another, creating a massive chain of explosions. I've had no issues dealing with racecourse map bosses, and it's just been absolutely beautiful to use Holy Conquest for this. It's been bursting down bosses. I've even experienced, due to the collateral splash effect that's happening, that you're actually killing bosses faster with ads around you thanks to Holy Conquest rather than not using this. So I'd say that Holy Conquest is one of the most broken mechanics that you can use for a Penance brand build. And they're very cheap right now. They cost only a couple of chaos. I bought this one a couple of hours into the league for about 4 chaos, I think. And they're so common that they're just going to crash further and further down. So this is a perfect opportunity to purchase that for the build as well. So I'm going to show you how the small explosion works in a... Well, we can take a map and I'll show you that as I finalize this little discussion. Basically, what I'm doing is I have Arcane Cloak on left click. Another fun interaction is the Dynamo. Every time I use my Arcane Cloak, I will then consume a shitload of my mana and I will regenerate 20% of that back up really quickly. So as you can see, I'm barely losing anything from using Arcane Cloak. So I just put that on left click and I just run around. I'm going to show you how these explosions work. And single target is currently lacking in terms of damage a little bit in my opinion, because again I am playing a Necromancer, so because of that I'll be lacking damage. So as you can see here, that's one click, they're instantaneously doing damage and basically chaining and hitting new targets all the time, which is not something that would happen without the Holy Conquest. With Holy Conquest, your brand would attach to the enemy, and then after that it would then either charge up and start pulsing at 20 charges, or with Swift Brand, disappear after X amount of seconds. In this case, I have a duration of 1.44 seconds, which would mean that after 1.44 seconds, I would then be in a situation where it would detach and then explode. So with this approach, I'm actually doing damage instantaneously to enemies, more or less. So, Betrayal, nice. So this is basically how I'm playing the game right now, and it's absolutely beautiful, I'd say. Yeah, make sure I unveil everything because I want the trigger. I want that trigger from the weapons. So this is basically how I'm playing the map. I am just running around, placing some brands, and have instantaneous damage output, which I do not have without the Holy Conquest. It feels very smooth, it's easy to play. Damage is, in my opinion, a little bit lacking, but the Conquerors I've had zero issues dealing with the Conquerors. I've had zero issues dealing with the map bosses. It's actually been very, very comfortable to play this. But yeah, as you can see, I have instant damage, and I think that's the most important part. Lingering pain. I'm gonna have to do that after the video. So let's do multiple boss. Hopefully we'll see 2 or 3 of these available in this fight, and you can see how the chaining happens when they're detaching from one betrayal target and switching to the other. Let's see if we can get into the boss here. It's been very enjoyable to play this, especially once you get the Holy Conquest. It's just been beautiful in my opinion. So you can see here, I'm just spamming out my 4 brands, and the boss is already, well, bosses. Well, these guys are already dead. I'm gonna quickly go through here. And this was so much smoother to play with over having something like them charging up and then exploding with a big damage. This has been so much better. In this case, you can see here, I'm putting up the brands, and then after 20 charges, or they are detaching, they either start pulsing or then exploding. So bosses die pretty fast, considering the fact that this build specifically is lacking damage compared to the Inquisitor and Hierophant version. Till I get a trigger weapon, I'd say that's pretty okay damage. And if there's any adds around, that's just going to be better for the sake of damage, as mentioned before. So I'd say this is a solid, absolutely solid League starter build. And the ability itself is absolutely insane, and Holy Conquest is well broken. It's too good. Absolutely too good. Yeah. That's all I wanted to say. A little update of my League starter and my opinions on the upcoming build guide for the Necromancer version. But yeah, what else do I have to say? Garden. I will be making a full-blown guide on the gardening shit, so you guys will get that covered as well. I think that was it, right? Yeah. I think that was it. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments below, boys. Let me know what you guys feel about the Penance brand. I myself am actually very much enjoying this. Hit the like button, subscribe for more content, and until next time, stay safe and keep rocking, boys.